Mr. Manair claims he spent 5 years in prison unjustly for failing to pay child support for a child he was never proven to be the biological father of. Ms. Sear asserts she has proof that Mr. Manair is indeed the father, aiming to prove it in court to stop him from shirking his responsibilities. Get ready, because the drama is just heating up. Mr. Manair remains skeptical, questioning the validity of the results and the circumstances under which his DNA was supposedly collected and tested. The plot thickens, so don't go anywhere. Things are about to get even spicier. Fasten your seatbelts for this critical juncture. New DNA tests are conducted with proper chain of custody and verification processes to ensure the results are accurate and reliable. The courtroom awaits these her marriage by demonstrating, with all the drama of a primetime show, that her husband is not the biological father of 13-month-old twins, Christian and Christiana. Miss Davis throws a curveball by contending that she had a passionate affair with Mrs. Johnson's husband, which led to the twins' birth. Amid the emotional turmoil, Mrs. Johnson recounts
proving to the defendant that your husband is not the biological father, Christian and Christiana. You contend that you had a sexual relationship with the plaintiff's husband and say that led to your pregnancy and birth of your twins. You say you are Mr. Johnson's mother and you contacted the court hoping,
talk about it, whatever, but see, it's another lady involved too. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
the plot twists just keep coming. In a twist worthy of a daytime drama, Miss Davis admits that she initially dismissed the idea that Mr. Johnson could be the father and casually mentioned this to his mom. Meanwhile, Mrs. Johnson's world turned upside down when she bumped into Miss Davis at their shared doctor's office, exposing the tangled web of relationships and secrets. Emotional stakes are high, and the next reveal is just around the corner. Don't blink or you'll miss it.
Who do you believe fathered your boy twin?
My ex.
Does that mean you had sex with both gentlemen?
I probably had sex with him at night. I probably laid on a couple days, probably had sex with that.
So, Mr. Johnson, have you met the twins?
Yes, Your Honor. I met them multiple times. I haven't actually spent time with them.
You have?
Yes.
This explanation might just change everything. Grab some popcorn, because Dr. Jackie enters with a plot twist that sounds straight out of a sci-fi novel. Super fecundation. Twins with different dads, because why not complicate things further? The DNA test results finally come in.
Hello, Dr. Jackie. Dr. Jackie, we are here discussing the paternity matter related to beautiful twins Christian and Christiana.
Something in medicine we call superfecundation, basically saying a female will ovulate more than one egg in that one ovulatory cycle.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are not the father.
I'm fine.
Get ready for a curveball right from the start. Ms. Alexander lays down the heavy reason they're all here today. Her son, Nicholas, kicked off a paternity case because he was doubting whether he fathered Ms. Jackson's child. Tragically, just 2 weeks after he made that call, he died in a sudden accident, propelling his family to see the case through to the end. The plot thickens, and you won't believe what's up next.
Ms. Alexander, you and your daughter are here today because your son contacted paternity court. He was seeking a DNA test on a baby he was unsure. Sadly, just 2 weeks later, he died in a tragic act. You have the court's deepest condolence.
Here comes a twist that'll make your head spin. Ms. Jackson drops a bombshell by admitting Nicholas had every reason to question the baby's paternity, since she was also seeing another man around the time of conception. This admission sets the courtroom buzzing and lays the groundwork for a tangled web of personal drama. Hang on to your seats. The revelations are just getting started.
You say you were having sexual relations with both him and another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell the court what brought you here today.
I came here on behalf of Nick. He had started this process about 2 weeks before he died for a paternity test.
Things heat up with some spicy back and forth accusations. In a fiery exchange, there's a clash over who was actually present at the hospital when the baby was born, with contradicting claims throwing more fuel on the doubt fire. Each statement adds more intrigue to the mystery of the baby's paternity. Brace yourself. The next part ramps up the tension even further.
At it and looked at
That's
the
not
child,
true.
and they said it didn't look like them, and they dabbed. They
That
said,
is
"Man,
not
you
true.
stand."
Only
That's
person
not true.
that stayed. He was the stand-up guy.
I always told him
So,
never to be.
were there multiple
Oh.
No, other but my
when the
boyfriend.
baby was born?
No, other than my boyfriend.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more heartfelt, Ms. Jackson shares a tender moment. She recounts how Nicholas embraced the baby at the hospital, joyfully participating in the birth, showing potential signs of accepting fatherhood. This poignant moment paints a picture of Nicholas as possibly a committed dad-to-be. But hold on, there's more emotional roller coaster rides ahead.
And people that came with him.
So after William Nicholas Nicholas accept him as his son?
I do have a picture of him holding him when Will came out after I got done holding
He
him.
was excited.
He did accept him, or the
He-
father of
he
this child,
accepted
even though you
because-
expressed it, there was a chance he was not?
Yes, because he told me he felt in his heart that that was his son.
Now, dive into the nitty-gritty of why a paternity test wasn't done right off the bat. The court explores the reasons behind the delay, with Ms. Jackson outlining the bureaucratic and logistical hurdles that prevented an immediate paternity test post-birth. This adds a layer of real-world frustration to the drama. Up next, witness how family dynamics explode into the conversation.
I did try to get a paternity test the day Will was born, but the hospital told me we had to go to another place because I had to open up a case for child support against him for me to take that then.
About 2 weeks before Nicholas died, they hooked up to go to child support. I had talked Nicholas into doing that because I said, he's yours.
April comes out swinging in defense of Nicholas's role as a supportive partner and potential dad. She passionately argues against the claims that Nicholas had doubts, emphasizing his consistent presence and communication. Her fierce defense highlights the deep emotional stakes involved. The air's about to get even thicker with the next jaw-dropping exchange.
He didn't sign the birth certificate. He had to have his ID to sign the birth certificate. He never took it back up there.
But he called his mom and I told him
I never did say he gonna call the birthday. He just gonna sign the birth certificate.
I said, have you signed anything? He said, no, mama, but they brought. I said, get your butt out of there. I said, better not. I said, you better not sign nothing.
The atmosphere charges up as motives are questioned with an eye on financial implications. In a pivotal moment, the discussion turns to why Ms. Jackson sought Nicholas's death certificate so soon after his passing, hinting at potential financial desperation intertwined with the hardships of single motherhood. The stage is set for an even more heated debate just around the corner.
You didn't have to come. Hold on, lady. A couple of days after the memorial, wanting a copy of Nick's death certificate. What that tell you? You want some money, though, right? Why you can't go to the other
Excuse
men?
me. And only reason I asked for his death certificate because I am a single mother. I stay with my daddy right now, but I am a single mother. I just got finished with high school.
The tension is palpable as everyone braces for the DNA results.
That Mr. Nicholas Alexander is not the father.
I wish it was different. I really do. We clicked.
In a twist that sounds straight out of a daytime TV drama, Mr. Zara is back, and he's not happy. After his last heart-wrenching visit to the courtroom, where he found out he wasn't the biological father of one child, he now harbors doubts about the paternity of another child, an 8-month-old daughter. The audience gasps in disbelief as the plot thickens. Get ready for the roller coaster ride to the next revelation.
You confess you walked away, stated, upon finding out you were not the biological father of the defendant's son. Experience has left you in doubt about whether you're the father of her 8-month-old daughter.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, enter Ms. Nadeau. She admits to the shock of her life when previous results revealed Mr. Zara's best friend was actually the father of her son. Denying any further scandal, she asserts there's no way Mr. Zara's other suspicions could be true, igniting a fiery debate in the courtroom. You'll want to stick around because it only gets more tangled from here.
You had the shock of your life when the results were read and you learned Mr. Zara's best was the father of your son. The man seated next to me could be your daughter's biological father. There's no way that's true.
Hold on to your seats because the drama level is about to skyrocket. Amidst the growing suspense, the judge dives into the complex details as Mr. Zara pushes for a lie detector test for Ms. Nadeau to unearth how many potential fathers might be out there. The crowd murmurs with anticipation as secrets threaten to spill. Brace yourselves. The truth is about to surface.
Take a lie detector test to determine how many other men are potential fathers.
Number one, she's like a whore, Your Honor.
Let's use respectful language. Promiscuous.
Yes, and she sleeps with everybody I know, pretty much.
For the last particular hearing, it was unfortunately revealed you were not the father.
Yes.
Wait, there's a twist. Mr. Zara throws another curveball, suggesting Mr. McCaffrey could be the father of the child in question. Mr. McCaffrey shocks the courtroom by admitting to unprotected encounters with Ms. Nadeau, adding layers to the mystery. Fasten your seatbelts. We're about to dive deeper into this soap opera.
Were you intimate with Ms. Nadeau?
Yes, Your Honor.
Without protection?
Yes.
And so your contention is you were intimate with him before the window of conception?
Yes. I got pregnant with Ariella. I was only sleeping with Mr. Zara.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Mr. Zara brings in a surprise witness. Mr. Amaral steps into the courtroom, claiming he's seen Ms. Nadeau and Mr. McCaffrey together during the critical time of conception, suggesting more than a platonic relationship. As eyebrows raise, prepare for what comes next. It's a doozy.
Mr. Zara, you You say you brought a surprise witness.
Was he
Jerome,
there?
please report this witness in. I want to hear from you. Mr. Emerald, thank you for joining us today. We are here discussing the paternity of baby Ariella.
Cue the dramatic music because Mr. McCaffrey is about to spill some serious tea. He casually describes his relationship with Ms. Nadeau as laid back and purely for fun, directly placing him with her around the possible time of conception. As the plot thickens, you won't believe what's coming up next in this saga.
First, I was mad that he was with Kayla because, like I said, she was my girl.
But your
And then
friends,
people are
best
telling me
friends.
that she's now pregnant with Tommy's daughter, but she's doing the same thing to Tommy that she did. But the other guy is not here, so I'm not going to use his name. He was allegedly messing
I would
around
love
with that.
to know
that
who
was
this
So,
other
Mr.
person.
McCaffrey,
Yes, Your Honor.
you admit you were intimate with Ms. Nadeau.
Yes.
As if we weren't already on the edge of our seats, the discussion turns to the much-anticipated lie detector test. Accusations fly as Mr. Zara labels Ms. Nadeau a liar, which she hotly disputes, arguing that deception isn't limited to just her side. The air crackles with tension as the moment of truth approaches. Stay tuned, because the next part is a real cliffhanger.
Just look at it. It's a picture of our eye, mine and the baby's eyes.
The looks really have nothing to do with it.
This is a picture
Nor does
of
the
your
snow on the
eye
ground.
split with
Ariella's.
baby Ariella. The two witnesses, thank you so much for your testimony. You may have a... Mr. Zara, you also petitioned the court for a lie detector test. Why?
She lies to me all the time.
Get ready for the grand reveal. Finally, the DNA results are disclosed.
It has been determined by this court that her father is Mr. Zara.
You have a lot of them to do. A lot.
Strap yourselves in, folks. Ms. Brown Murray is introduced and acknowledged for her military service. She expresses gratitude for the recognition. The scene sets the stage for the discussion of personal and sensitive matters related to her family. If you think this is something, just wait for what's up next.
First, I'd like to say thank you so much for your service to our country. Today you say you stand before me outraged because your husband has accused you of infidelity while serving in Iraq.
Talk about a curveball. Ms. Brown Murray addresses accusations from her husband that she was unfaithful while serving in Iraq. This accusation has led to him questioning the paternity of their child, adding a layer of tension to the proceedings. Buckle up, it's about to get bumpier.
He now doubts paternity of your child. Mr. Murray, you argue that your wife did indeed cheat on you while serving overseas. You contend that there's no way you could be the father because she announced she was too soon after returning home.
Wow, get a load of this. Ms. Brown Murray discusses the temptations and challenges of being a married woman overseas, emphasizing her fidelity despite difficult circumstances. This moment highlights her struggle and commitment to her marriage. And just when you think you've heard it all,
when you're overseas at first, I mean, there's going to be temptations, and there's going to be guys that look good, and there's going to be guys all around, and you're going to see guys, but that doesn't mean that you have to go outside of your marriage.
So you admit that there is temptation?
There's temptation all around, but I didn't cheat and I didn't go outside of my marriage, and I know that in the military there's a rule, and I assured him every day, Skype every day, and when I wasn't able to Skype, it was because there was a bomb going off or something.
here's a twist for the books. Mr. Murray shares his fears and insecurities about being alone and uncertain during his wife's deployment. His emotional vulnerability is evident as he discusses the impact of the military environment on relationships. Hang tight, the roller coaster's not over yet.
What made it scary for me, first time me being alone in another state with no family. My wife is deploying overseas. Don't know if I'm gonna ever see her again. And if I do see her again in one piece, they're gonna have love for me. It's a lot of men's on base, younger men. So that has a lot to do with it, my being guilty or bad conscience.
Can't make this stuff up. Ms. Brown Murray explains her efforts to maintain communication and reassure her husband of her fidelity amidst the dangers of her deployment. This emphasizes the strain on their relationship caused by physical and emotional distance. Next, we dive deeper into the drama.
And fearful on this level, or did you feel like he was trying to hide that from you?
I mean, I knew about it at times, but at times he was controlling it while I was over there.
And how about his fears of you cheating? Were you aware that he was this fearful?
Yes,
that you would cheat?
Yes, because I guess he was scared because I had a friend while I was over there. I mean, I built a friendship with a friend, so I guess that's the reason why
Didn't see that coming, did ya? A conversation about military life and fidelity arises, with Mr. Murray recounting troubling advice from a young military member, which escalates his fears about infidelity. This reflects the misunderstandings and rumors that can exacerbate tensions in military marriages. Up next, a testimony that could turn the tables.
In the military's world, when they overseas, they have a group of people, and that group got to stay with each other. If they're there for 2 years, he said it could be 40 married ladies on base.
And that's not true. That's not true.
Well, this is what he said. It could be 40 married ladies on base. Every last one of them ladies sex with another man, because on the base is what happened on this base stays on this base.
Get ready for the scoop. A witness, a former military member, discusses the commonality of forming close bonds and some service members engaging in infidelity. This testimony aims to provide context to Mr. Murray's concerns, but also showcases the diversity of experiences within the military. Don't go anywhere. It gets even juicier.
I don't want to bring any discredit upon the military because the actions of soldiers, they do not reflect the military. But there are a lot of times where, and you're away from home, and so the first thing you can do is cling to people. You develop a camaraderie where pretty much what goes on base stays on base.
Guess what's coming now? The judge questions Ms. Brown Murray about a close male friend overseas, whom Mr. Murray suspects to be the real father of their child. This moment intensifies the drama as it touches directly on the paternity issue. The next part will knock your socks off.
Is that who your husband thinks the father of your child really is?
Yes, that's who he thinks that had sex.
We was riding around in the car. I'm asking her, I thought it was kind of odd. Why is he calling you? Oh, just to make sure I'm doing okay. Make sure you're doing okay? Well, was something wrong? No. And then that was the end of that conversation.
He called me because he wanted to make sure I was okay, that I made it home alive.
Hold on to your coffee. This is big. Mr. Murray recounts the moment his wife announced her pregnancy, which was shortly after her return. The timing and circumstances of the pregnancy further fuel his doubts about paternity. What unfolds next is crucial to the plot.
Scold her on that. I never had an attitude.
Okay.
It is what it is. And I remember it, a long day at 10:30 at night. She wakes me up. Now I'm asleep. And then she tells me she's pregnant. She shows me the pregnancy test. Well, Your Honor, you can barely see the line. So she convinced me. Because I've seen the line from the beginning to end, a very, very thin line.
Okay.
Here's the grand finale, everyone. The climax of the episode, where the DNA test results are revealed.
It has been determined by this court that you are her father.
Thank you.
Brace yourself for this wild start. Ms. Brewington strides into court with full confidence, adamant to prove that Mr. Lee is the rightful father of her 3-year-old son, Giovanni. She lays down her claims firmly, saying that Mr. Lee has played dad since day one, but now denies paternity to sidestep child support payments. Mr. Lee shoots back, labeling Ms. Brewington a master of deception, accusing her of spinning lies just to tap into his wallet. You won't believe what's coming up next.
You are here to prove your 3-year-old son, Giovanni, is Mr. Lee's biological child. You claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support. You say you've known from day one Giovanni was not your son.
Ms. Brewington's certainty and relationship background. Gear up, the plot thickens. Ms. Brewington unpacks her story with gusto, detailing her unwavering certainty that Mr. Lee is Giovanni's dad, owing to their exclusive romantic escapades and a past littered with shared parental duties over another child. She recounts their attempts at mending their rocky relationship, certain that the news of her pregnancy would be anything but a shock to Mr. Lee. Hang on, because the next part adds even more spice to the drama.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee is the father, and can you tell me how you know?
100% certain that he is my son's father. Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship. We already have a child from a previous situation. We got back together. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was gonna be a shock or a surprise or anything like that.
Mr. Lee's doubt and living arrangements. Things are about to get even more tangled. Amidst the courtroom's stifled giggles, Mr. Lee stands his ground, fervently denying his involvement, painting a picture of a time when their romantic flames were doused, claiming no shared sheets nor hearts at the conception time. The air crackles with tension as they spar over cohabitation details, with Ms. Brewington dropping bombshells about their living situation. Just wait till you hear what's up next. It's a real doozy.
I want to know why you have doubt.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse.
You don't believe you were working on the relationship at the time Giovanni was conceived?
No, not at all.
Your Honor, I was living with him. We were living in the same household, in the same bed.
You living in the same house?
Around the time, yes.
So were you sharing a bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And fluids.
No.
Clearly.
Next up, the plot does more than just thicken. It explodes. Ms. Brewington describes her shock at discovering her pregnancy during a routine medical appointment, originally meant for birth control. Mr. Lee's reaction? Utter disbelief, prompting a spree of store-bought pregnancy tests, all of which echo the positive result. Despite the clear tests, Mr. Lee clings to denial, insisting their last romantic encounter doesn't align with the pregnancy timeline. Buckle up, because the next revelations are even more jaw-dropping.
Found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. They said, oh, you actually missed your last shot. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. It came up positive. He did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby, because we didn't have sex.
You're not ready for what happens next. As Ms. Brewington's belly grows, Mr. Lee's denial reaches new heights, publicly declaring her weight gain to be from fast food, not a growing baby. However, his tune changes dramatically at the hospital post-birth. He shows up, signs the birth certificate, and even names the baby, actions that starkly contradict his previous public denials. Stay tuned, because the conclusion to this episode is nothing short of epic.
I wasn't happy, so happy birthday didn't fit.
So you both have different story about what happened in the relationship. So let's fast forward to throughout this pregnancy, as you prepare for the birth of Giovanni. Was Mr. Lee present?
No, he was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. The entire time. I'm talking about, I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
Prepare for the grand finale. It's a real shocker. The court holds its breath as the results envelope is opened.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Hold up.
I already knew it. I told you.
Don't look at me like that. I don't know God's plan.
Who else?
Buckle up, folks. It's about to get real. Judge Lake puts the spotlight on the explosive situation threatening Miss Valdez-Lark and Mr. Slater's engagement. The whole drama centers around whether Mr. Slater sneakily fathered a child with his ex, Miss Pitts. This revelation has thrown everything off balance, setting up a roller coaster of emotions and accusations. Just wait, it's only getting spicier from here.
Claim your engagement to your fiancé, Mr. Slater, is on hold until you determine today if he cheated on you and fathered his ex's 1-year-old daughter, Herman. You are that ex and are not only here today to also want Mr. Slater's fiancé to know, still attempting to have a sexual relationship with you.
Hold on to your popcorn. This plot twist is juicy. During a heart-to-heart, Miss Pitts spills the beans about her childbirth saga and how she almost gave her baby up for adoption, a decision heavily involving Mr. Slater for legal and emotional reasons. It's a messy blend of past decisions and present regrets that adds layers to the paternity puzzle. Strap in, because the next part is a real eyebrow raiser.
When I was having my baby, the adoption parents was at the hospital. I was fixing to get my daughter up.
You were considering adopt, and you needed the father to sign off, etc. So you were making this call for that reason.
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't even get him on the phone. She got me. He wasn't there.
No way. Did he just say that? Mr. Slater's response to Judge Lake's probing is cooler than a cucumber, which only makes everyone more suspicious. He's so laid back about the accusation, it's almost as if he's watching this drama unfold on TV instead of being in the middle of it. But don't wander off now. His next move is a total doozy.
You're mighty quiet over there. You get this call, and you believe you're the father?
No, because I haven't had sex with her.
So why would she say if you haven't had sex with her at all?
She obsessed with me. Every relationship I be in, she calling.
Said what, sir?
I said, cause she obsessed with me. Everyone I call him and tell him that I got her pregnant.
Yikes, talk about being in a pickle. As Miss Valdez-Lark airs her doubts about the future with Mr. Slater, the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Their engagement hangs by a thread, hinging on the results of this nerve-wracking paternity test. What comes next? It's sure to knock your socks off, so stay tuned.
Somebody with some more bogus story
for my baby.
If it wasn't true.
Why would I keep on putting my baby on him? He don't like him.
She's a beautiful baby. I got to give you that. I just told him back there that she
No, the baby look like her mom.
Sent me a text message of the baby to my phone. I asked for her, and I was so grateful that she sent it to me because when I got the picture, I told him the baby resembled his mother.
Oh boy, Judge Lake is not having any of it today. She calls out the ludicrous circus of lies and deceit swirling around the courtroom. With everyone throwing shade and dodging truths, she's all about slicing through the nonsense. Keep your eyes peeled, because what happens next is a real kicker.
You've never slept with Miss Pitts, and that's why this baby cannot, because you have never, ever slept with her in recent past.
You're right.
Look at me in my face when you testifying, because you know what? Lying. Look around when they're talking. I'm right here.
I can't remember y'all.
And boom goes the dynamite. The DNA results are in.
Mr. Slater, you are her father.
Now play with it. Go on, marry him. Now play with it.
sweetie.
Hold on to your popcorn. Ms. Edelin drops a bombshell right off the bat, declaring there's no way her late son Quentin fathered Ms. Thomas's daughter, Savannah. She throws shade by labeling Ms. Thomas as a promiscuous hanger-on, who's not just been with multiple partners, but also with some of her own family members. Ms. Edelin stands firm, clearly not having any of it, and firmly asserts her son's innocence in this paternity saga. You think this is spicy? Just wait until the next bit.
Say there is no way your deceased son Quentin fathered the defendant's daughter. You claim Ms. Thomas is a promiscuous hanger-on who slept with many people other than your son, including your own family members.
Brace yourself, because here comes a counterpunch. After the tragic loss of Quentin, the supposed love of her life, Ms. Thomas steps up to defend her position against Ms. Edelin's harsh accusations. She claims Quentin is undoubtedly Savannah's biological dad and is all set to prove it today. Stirring the pot of this already tumultuous family drama, the emotional roller coaster doesn't stop here. The revelations just keep coming.
You say that after tragically losing Quentin, the love of your life, Edelin has made your life miserable with her paternity denial. Son is undoubtedly Savannah's biological father, and you intend to prove that today.
The plot thickens. Ms. Edelin recalls conversations with her son where he expressed doubts about Savannah's paternity. She's adamant about her stance, using these confidences as ammunition in her argument. Meanwhile, Ms. Thomas admits there was a brief breakup during which she might have been with someone else, but insists she was upfront about it. Strap in. This emotional merry-go-round is about to go off the rails.
Quentin had confided in me more than once and twice about people she slept with.
So your son actually said this?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes, Your Honor.
You said Quentin was the love of your life. Were you cheating on him during the relationship?
Actually, what actually happened was we had split up for a little minute, and it was a possibility, and I brought it to his attention around the time I had.
Get ready for a jaw-dropper. Ms. Edelin shares a wild tale about Quentin discovering his car parked at his best friend's house, only to find Ms. Thomas hiding in a closet there. This soap opera-worthy moment is presented as proof of Ms. Thomas's supposed betrayal, painting a picture of deceit and mistrust. Oh, but there's more drama ahead that you won't want to miss.
This one time, he said he was getting off of work from working one of his 2 jobs. He goes by his best friend's house and he sees his white Cadillac parked in his best friend's, which is the car that he would let Alexis drive while he was at work. So Quentin tells me he had to knock on the door to get his best friend to tell him where Alexis. He said, "Why is my car over in your house? Where's Alexis?" He said that Alexis let him use the car.
Things are heating up. In an explosive exchange, Ms. Edelin and Ms. Thomas go head-to-head, hurling accusations about past indiscretions and their tumultuous relationship with Quentin. The courtroom turns into a verbal battleground, with both parties passionately defending their positions. The tension is palpable, and believe me, it's about to get even hotter.
I've been with your son 5 years. Why you lied on me? You never liked me from the beginning at all. You never liked me from the beginning.
That's right, because you always want to be in some man's face, want to see.
I never been in no man's face. I've been with faithful with him.
Let's get some order. Let's get some order. I want to understand this. What your conclusion was, Ms. Edelin, is your son was trying to say that he believed Ms. Thomas was in the house, somebody else.
Correct.
Here's where things get heartfelt. Despite the swirling paternity doubts, Quentin showed his commitment by actively participating in prenatal appointments and even signing the birth certificate. This touching display of responsibility showcases his character and the emotional complexity of the situation. But hold on, the saga takes a twist in the next chapter.
When Savannah was born, was Quentin there for you? Did he go to appointments with you?
Yes, he was there every step of the way.
He even signed the birth certificate.
He even signed the birth certificate, which I have a copy of.
I'd like to see that. Jerome, please hand me that evidence. So this is the birth certificate?
Yes.
For Savannah Marie Thomas Edelin.
You won't believe this twist. It comes to light that Ms. Thomas had a fling with Quentin's brother, which adds a whole new layer of drama to the case. This bombshell raises serious questions about her character and her actions within the family, setting the stage for even more family fireworks. The emotional stakes are sky high, and the next moments are crucial.
Mr. Edelin, thank you for joining us. We're here today having a hearing concerning the paternity of baby Savannah. Your mother believed that your younger brother, Quentin, your late brother, believed that Ms. Thomas had been having relationships with other men, but your mom also testified that you had had a sexual relationship with Ms. Thomas in the past as well. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more intense. As the case winds down, Ms. Edelin and Ms. Thomas lay bare their emotional struggles and desperate hopes for clarity on Savannah's paternity. Their heartfelt pleas for understanding and resolution tug at the heartstrings. The crescendo of this family drama is about to reach its peak.
As much as Quentin had a doubt in his mind that that baby may not be his, he was still willing to be with you and that baby. And he asked me to do the same, that you need help. You need somebody that's firm, strong, and can help you as well. I helped you get jobs when y'all was in Lance. If I can't do one thing, I help somebody get a job, get on their feet, and get up out my house.
Yes, Mom, yes.
Cue the dramatic finale. The DNA test results are in.
The percentage of relatedness is between Ms. Lucille Edelin and Savannah Thomas Edelin is 99.98%. You are related.
Judge Lake introduces the case of Redmond Jr. versus Patterson, where Mr. Redmond is disputing the paternity of 2 teenage daughters, despite owing $10,000 in child support. He emphatically denies the children are his, questioning the long delay in resolving this issue. You're not going to want to miss what happens next. Buckle up.
This is a case of Redmond Jr. versus Patterson.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Redmond, you currently owe more than $10,000 in child support for the defendant's 2 teenage daughters, LaQuandria Redmond and Kaisha Redmond, who you say are not yours.
Brace yourselves, because this gets wild. The conflict deepens as Mr. Redmond expresses his conviction that the children aren't his, citing his multiple jail sentences due to the owed child support. He presents a document from the court showing his outstanding debt, which is examined by the court. And just when you think it can't get any more heated, it does.
Over 19 years, I've been taking care of these kids, and Your Honor, I've been going to jail, and I know for a fact that these kids aren't mine.
You know for a fact you've gone to jail?
I've gone to jail because I owe more than $10,000. This is some from the courts where I owe over $10,000 in child support paper.
Let me see that paperwork.
Here's where the plot thickens. A dramatic moment unfolds when Mr. Redmond accuses Ms. Patterson of infidelity, presenting a photo of her with another man in a compromising situation. Ms. Patterson vehemently denies the allegations, insisting it's a fabrication. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for the next twist.
I never cheated on her.
She's untrustworthy, Your Honor. I've caught her cheating on me numerous amount of times.
Step forward so I can have you explain this evidence you have in monitor.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, as you can plainly see, her and her friend was in the bathroom, and he had his pants down.
That is a lie.
To the bathroom, Your Honor, his pants was down, and he quickly tried to pull them up, and she stood up.
That is a lie.
What?
Yes, Your Honor.
Guess what's up next? Shocking, right? The tension escalates as Mr. Redmond recounts discovering another man in his apartment, further fueling his doubts about paternity. He reveals placing a tape recorder in the bedroom to catch further indiscretions, but Ms. Patterson dismisses the recorded sounds as mere background noise. The stakes are high, and there's more drama to come.
This is a picture of me coming home from work, Your Honor. This was when we was married. I rode a bicycle in the cold to go to work. It was a tall, dark-skinned man walking out of my apartment.
That is not true, Your Honor.
Ms. Patterson, do you know anyone that looks like that?
No, Your Honor, I really don't.
So you're saying he just constantly accuses you?
Yes, ma'am.
You'll be amazed at what happens here. Mr. Redmond describes catching Ms. Patterson in a compromising position with another man at her workplace, questioning her fidelity and the paternity of their children. Ms. Patterson defends her professionalism and denies the allegations. Stay tuned, because the courtroom is about to get even more charged.
You have one more picture. What is this?
I went to Miss Patterson's workplace, but at this point in time, at her job, find the location that they told me to go to.
Okay.
I observed Miss Patterson in the bed with another man.
Oh,
on top of the man.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, so this is you observing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you confront her?
I didn't confront her, Your Honor. I was so hurt. I walked away, got in my car, and left.
Are you ready for more bombshells? Judge Lake probes deeper into the reasons behind Mr. Redmond's doubts about the paternity of his second daughter, Kaisha. The couple's strained relationship and separate living arrangements at the time of her conception are discussed. What the daughters have to say next is absolutely heart-wrenching.
So, you said you had one more piece of evidence as to why you believe LaQuandria is not your daughter?
Yes, ma'am. We was in her hometown. I creeped up on her family's house. When I got there, Your Honor, I went round the back where they usually be, and I observed Miss Patterson drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, sitting on another man's lap.
You thought maybe he could be her father because she was having a relationship with him as well?
Yes, ma'am.
This next bit is truly moving. The daughters, LaQuandria and Kaisha, are brought into the courtroom. They express their feelings of neglect and absence of a relationship with Mr. Redmond, highlighting the emotional impact of the paternity dispute. Their testimony will tug at your heartstrings, and you'll want to see how their dad reacts.
We are here today discussing some paternity issues that are affecting your family. And I wanted to hear from you because the gentleman on the plaintiff's podium, Mr. Redmond, you believe he is your father, right?
Yes.
That's what you've been told.
Yes, ma'am.
Now watch as the tension reaches a new high. An emotional confrontation occurs as the daughters and Mr. Redmond exchange accusations and denials. The daughters articulate their feelings of abandonment and financial neglect, which Mr. Redmond attempts to refute, claiming a consistent presence in their lives. The courtroom is about to be shaken by the DNA results. Get ready.
I don't recollect me not being there for these kids, and I feel like they're being untruth at the moment. I've been there for those kids. I never left those kids. My father has thrown them birthday party. I have done a lot for these kids, Your Honor.
Well, do you hear them say that they don't believe you've been there for them? They don't feel your presence in their life. They don't feel your protection.
The kids were kidnapped from me. They were in my custody. She came back and stole the kids from me.
Hang on, here come the results. The climactic reveal of the DNA results confirms.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Redmond, you are the father.
You need to apologize.
He don't need to.
You're not going to believe how this starts. The case of versus Crane kicks off with Mr. Scott stepping up to clear his name, claiming his reputation has been dragged through the mud by several women, including Miss Crane, who insists he's the dad of their kids. He firmly states he's already got a mini football team of 6 kids with 3 different women, but is adamant that Miss Crane isn't going to add to his team roster with child number 7. Just wait. The courtroom drama is about to heat up.
Mr. Scott, you say you are appearing in court today. Clear your name.
Yes.
You state many women, including the defendant, have dragged your reputation through the mud, claiming you are the father of their children. You admit to having 6 kids by 3 different women.
Yes, Your Honor.
But state that the defendant is not mother number 4 with child number 7.
Here comes a curveball. Miss Crane fires back, staunchly defending her fidelity during their time together and insisting without a doubt that Jaylyn is Mr. Scott's son. She drops a bombshell, revealing she discovered Mr. Scott was still very much married during her pregnancy, while Mr. Scott flips the script, accusing her of playing the field. Buckle up, because the truth train is just leaving the station.
You say you were always phased out and that Jaylyn is definitely his son. You argue Mr. Scott is the one who cheated and claimed that during your pregnancy, you found out he was a married man.
Yes,
She's
Your
been
Honor.
cheating the whole time.
Never.
Ms. Crane, you insist that Mr. Scott has never even offered you a dime.
Never.
You're here to make a counterclaim against Mr. Scott in the amount of $1,000, the maximum allowed by this court.
Can you handle more? Watch as plot thickens with Miss Crane outing Mr. Scott for being married during their affair, a fact he clumsily tries to sidestep before admitting to a tangled web of lies and liaisons. This revelation leads to a fiery exchange about where Mr. Scott was sneaking around during Miss Crane's pregnancy, climaxing with her detective work on his phone records. And guess what? It's about to get even messier up ahead.
And you just said, Ms. Crane, that he was married.
Major negative. I've been a major negative. I've been divorced since December 9th.
I didn't know
She
about
knew I
none
had
of the
kids,
kids.
though. She knew I had kids.
Enlighten me. How did you? Your Honor, I was 7 months pregnant. I didn't know where Marcel was. He used my phone one time. He deleted all his calls. So I went back on the internet, went back to the research, called all the numbers he called, and found out he was married for 9 years.
That's true. I was married. That's true. I was married, but I've been divorced since December 2009.
Just when you think it can't escalate further, it does. The heat rises in the courtroom as accusations about Mr. Scott's fidelity and honesty fly like wild fireworks. Miss Crane recounts a sketchy incident where she caught Mr. Scott at his ex-wife's place, sparking a heated denial and more finger-pointing about who did what during the pregnancy. Strap in. The next part is a real doozy.
And you're 7 months pregnant when this happened.
Yep.
No, that's not true at all.
And he lied about all of his kids. I didn't know he had no kids.
She lied because I got tattoos all over my body. I got all my kids' names on my
That
back.
don't mean nothing.
Everywhere.
Your Honor,
She
I
knew
didn't
my
ask him
kids'
nothing
names.
about no tattoos.
No, well, you want to talk about tattoos? What about the dude's name to your body?
What
that
about
you said
it?
it was your brother.
And?
But then come to find it's another dude that's holding the baby. I mean,
Your
come
Honor,
on.
if we were not together, we were not together at the time.
Wait a minute now, miss some info I delved
Well, I'm
into.
not on the birth certificate.
This part is juicy. As the court tries to untangle this web, Mr. Scott defends his hit-or-miss fatherhood antics by blaming Miss Crane for keeping him away from their son. Miss Crane passionately recounts the emotional roller coaster caused by the paternity doubts, which deeply affected her decisions and well-being. Don't go anywhere. Revelations are about to drop like hot potatoes.
And then while she's pregnant, she had hickeys on her neck. And I didn't give her them hickeys. You know what I mean? And when she was pregnant, she didn't even tell me she was pregnant. I said, well, let me take you to Kaiser Permanente Hospital. She told me to go to the Kaiser Permanente in Lancaster, and she's at the Kaiser Permanente in Palmdale. Here, all my kids.
And so you're
I have
trying to
6
take
kids.
her to medical appointment.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me take
And
her.
she telling
told me
you
her
she's
sister
at one branch, you at the other branch.
She said, oh, my sister dropping me. She told me and said like, well, yeah, whoop-de-whoop dropped me off. That's what she said.
Brace yourself for the grand finale. As the session winds down, Judge Lake dives into the emotional and financial turmoil churned up by Miss Crane, underscoring the pressing need for clarity and responsibility in this convoluted paternity mess. The suspense builds to a fever pitch as as they edge closer to unveiling the DNA results. Trust me, you'll want to see how this turns out.
As you were saying to him, like, father, or he's not the father, and then you go to his family, you know,
The only doubt
he's
he
not
should
the
ever have
father.
is when I found out he said some stuff, so I was like, you know what, Jalen's not yours, so I don't need to lie.
Nah, you don't need to say
And
that.
that's because I was emotional. Of course, I'm gonna say what I have to
So
say.
you're admitting that out of hurt, when you found that out, you're not the father of the baby anyway, and I don't need you in my life.
If she knew this was my baby, she's 100% sure. Then how come you didn't put my name on the birth
Honor,
certificate?
why
How he
would
doesn't
I
have
put
my
his name
last
on the birth
name?
certificate?
Why
He's
he
been
don't have
married
my
for
last
9
name?
years.
And now, the moment of truth. Get ready for a wild reveal. The court reaches its boiling point as the DNA results are finally disclosed.
When it comes to 3-year-old Jalen Crane, Mr. Scott, you are the father. Told you!
Right out of the gate, we've got a curveball. Wesley, a child with severe autism, is introduced, living primarily under the care of his loving grandmother, while knowing very little about his parents. The paternity test results, expected today, could significantly reshape his future. Stay tuned as the drama ramps up.
This is Wesley. He suffers from a severe case of autism. He's being raised by his grandmother and barely knows his mother and his father. The results of today's paternity test will help determine the course of his future.
Here comes a plot twist. Mr. Marsh, officially listed as Wesley's father on the birth certificate, drops a bombshell by claiming that the real father is actually the neighbor of Wesley's mother. Both potential dads have been tested, so buckle up as we're about to dive into the DNA drama.
You are listed on Wesley's birth certificate as his dad, but you claim his biological father is actually his mother's neighbor. Now, you both have been tested and we'll hear the results shortly. Now, Mrs. Maldonado, you are Wesley's grandmother and legal guardian.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things get a tad complicated here. Mr. Marsh lays out the tough restrictions on his visitation, confined to chilly outdoor meetings that have slashed his father-son time. His financial support comes through child support payments, though he's racked up quite the debt. The emotional thermometer is about to burst. Don't go anywhere.
I can come and see my son whenever I want to, and yet I have to see him outside. I'm not allowed inside the house, so I don't see a reason to put a 1-year-old child outside in the cold just for me to be able to see him or for me to be able to help out. I pay my child support. I pay $269 money in my arrearments. I'm $13,000 in debt because of it, but I still, whenever I have a job, I pay the state for child support.
You won't believe this twist. During a heartfelt recount, Mr. Marsh explains his decision to cease outdoor visits with Wesley, prioritizing his son's comfort over a forced relationship. The grandmother contests his story, highlighting a long-standing communication breakdown. The plot thickens just around the corner.
When you went by and saw him when he was 1 year old, you said this wasn't right for him to have to come outside for you to see it. So you made the decision that I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm going to pay my child support, but I'm going to keep my distance, and when he's 18, he can find it.
I didn't see a point of every time I went to go see my son to be threatened to be put in the ER if I walk the threshold of the door.
That
so
is
now,
incorrect.
Ms. Maldonado, is he being threatened when he comes to try to see?
No, he is not.
And now for another reveal. Mrs. Maldonado, amidst the ongoing courtroom battle, admits her uncertainty about Wesley's paternity despite Mr. Marsh's name on the birth certificate. She's holding her breath for clarity, and you should too, because the next testimony is a game changer.
You believe he is in fact Wesley's father?
That's what I have, Your Honor, because his name is on my grandson's birth certificate. I did not give birth to him. I can only go by what's on.
All right, so on the paperwork, he is listed as a father. In your mind, the way you operate, he's the father. So did you ever try to meet somewhere?
We did at a restaurant in town, and he did not show up.
As the stakes heighten, doubts swirl around Wesley's paternity. Mr. Marsh voices his suspicions about their familial resemblance, or the lack thereof, citing the mother's side's history of deception. Fasten your seatbelts. We're speeding towards an eye-opening witness statement.
He just does not look like me. All white. There's no any other kind of descent in my family. Jolene's half Puerto Rican. Jeremy's father is full-blood Puerto Rican. So, I mean, there is Hispanic descent in the family.
So when his mother was pregnant, were you ever told it could be anyone else?
I had Jeremy who cracked jokes about, oh, you might want to get a paternity test. But they joke around that Jolene cheated.
The tension escalates with Mr. Neely's explosive testimony. He backs up the family's doubts about Wesley's paternity, painting a not-so-pretty picture of his sister's honesty. As the family secrets spill, the courtroom braces for the next big revelation. Get ready for more jaw-dropping moments.
Do you believe that Mr. Marsh is Wesley's father?
Honestly, I do not believe he is.
Why is that?
Because my sister has had multiple friends, boyfriends. There you go.
Okay.
So
that your sister was with multiple men, probably during the time Wesley was conceived.
yes, and I forewarned Eddie that if you do not know it's yours, Do not sign the paperwork.
Grab your popcorn. Here's the backstory. After her daughter mysteriously disappeared postpartum, Mrs. Maldonado stepped up as Wesley's primary caregiver. Her struggle underscores the family's chaotic dynamics and sets the stage for more upheaval. Watch out! The emotional roller coaster is about to hit a steep drop.
At that point, in April of 2008, signed a power of attorney that we took and went and had taken care of so that I had legal custody of Wes to take care of. Now, I did get a hold of my daughter before we came here, and she did give me a video state that she wanted you to hear.
Hi, I'm Jolene, West's mother. Edward Marsh is his father. He has been denying my son. Last time he saw him was the fall of 2008.
Finally, the moment of truth arrives with a startling revelation.
And whether Mr. Marsh or Wesley's mother's neighbor is his father, Mr. Marsh, you are his father.
Does that mean I get my rights to him?
Brace yourself for a wild start. Mr. Derensburg kicks off the hearing with a bombshell, claiming he's not the father of Ms. Wilson's 22-year-old son, Damone. He's determined to prove his case, hoping to erase his name from the child support bills and claw back over $20,000. The courtroom's buzzing, and you won't believe what's coming next.
Are seeking the results of a paternity test prove that you are not father of Ms. Wilson's 22-year-old son, Damone, who you say the defendant once told you was another man's child. You will return to court to sue Ms. Wilson $20,000 for unwarranted child support payment.
Things are heating up quickly. Ms. Wilson fires back, painting Mr. Derensburg as a master of deception, juggling relationships with multiple women while being both engaged and married. She insists he's the father of her son, challenging his narrative of innocence. Hold tight, because the details about their past interactions are just around the corner.
That Mr. Derensburg is a womanizing, lying, cheating, poor excuse for a man.
Yes, you are.
You claim that during your relationship he was married and engaged, I don't know how you do that, to other women.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't make this stuff up. The discussion unveils a tangled web of relationships where Mr. Derensburg was not only married, but also separated and planning another wedding, all while dating Ms. Wilson's friend. This adds a spicy layer of drama to his claims. The next twist in their tale will have your jaw dropping.
You said you were married but separated and dating her friend.
I
Where's
was
fiance
separated,
come from?
but not divorced yet, and I was planning to marry the young lady that Ms. Wilson was friends with. My fiance, we had an argument, and I went out and I saw Ms. Wilson. Had a conversation, a brief conversation. We were in a hotel room.
Oh!
Did that really just happen? Ms. Wilson recalls the night that might have changed her life forever, including a fleeting encounter with Mr. Derensburg that led to her pregnancy. She admits to also being involved with another man at the time, which fuels Mr. Derensburg's doubts about his paternity. Stay tuned, because Mr. Derensburg's reaction is priceless.
So obviously, since Mr. Derensburg is here today, he doesn't necessarily believe that he is the father of your son. Were you also intimate with anyone else during that time period?
Yes, I had a boyfriend at the time who was...
The plot thickens. Mr. Derensburg voices his doubts about fathering Damone, citing their brief encounter and Ms. Wilson's other romantic escapades. He only learned about the child years after the fact, which only adds layers to the mystery. Up next, hear directly from Damone. It's a tearjerker and a half.
Well, first of all, we only had sex one time. She was promiscuous, didn't find out 2.5 years after she had the kid.
Never heard from her anymore after this?
I saw Ms. Wilson at my girlfriend's New Year's Eve party.
Oh, because you went on back to your girlfriend after that.
Of course, I was with my girlfriend the entire time.
Grab your tissues. Damone shares his poignant and limited interactions with Mr. Derensburg, filled with broken promises and deep-seated feelings of abandonment. His story highlights the emotional toll of Mr. Derensburg's inconsistent presence and outright denial of paternity. But the emotional roller coaster doesn't stop here. Next up, we dive into the wallet wars over child support.
She didn't tell me anything,
so you did a,
so it was fine.
You did a hear no evil. You
see
just
no
blocked
evil.
it out.
2.5 years went, Danita had the child. One of my fraternity brothers come up to me and asked me, hey man, did you see your kid? I said, kid? Oh man, no. So my grandfather and I, we drove down to Danita's
to see about it.
Right, because, I mean, hell, kid.
Now we're talking money. Dive into the financial fray as the court examines the child support conflict. Mr. Derensburg challenges the deductions from his paycheck, claiming a case of mistaken paternity led to undue financial strain. But wait, there's more drama ahead as the confrontation heats up.
Because of that, they're taking money from me to repay back the state in which we live.
But
so
you were
I'm paying
identified
back.
during that time as the father.
Apparently so. I went to Georgia. I left.
Fasten your seatbelts. A recent fiery exchange between Damone and Mr. Derensburg brings old grievances back to the surface. Damone lays out his continued disappointment over Mr. Derensburg's failure to acknowledge or take responsibility. The revelation of the paternity test results up next will turn everything on its head.
When I first saw him, I was happy to see him. So I walk up to the color show, you know, I'm a grown man now.
So you were still coming up to speak to him?
Yeah, I'm like, what's up, man, what's up? Who is you?
You said, who are you?
I didn't know the kid.
Yeah.
I did not know.
You didn't recognize.
I did not recognize this kid.
The moment we've all been waiting for, as the paternity test results are unveiled.
Mr. Derensburg, you are his father.